as I continue to improve and evolve my day trading strategy, sometimes I gotta get back to the basics. We gotta go out to the tool shed here and look at the right tools, make sure we have the right tools for trading, but we also need to look back and think about, like, okay, what could we do differently? What can we do to maximize our profits day trading? And I have an idea here, something that I want to look back. We're going to go and we're going to back test all the way since the beginning of May here in 2022 and get an idea on the 3-minute chart. How often, what is the percentage that a 3-minute candle making a breakout or a breakdown, how often does the next candle break back above the highs or break below the lows before making the bigger move? Either it's 70%, it's 80%, it's a 65%. We're going to find out here after looking through the last couple months here, but in general, what is that percentage? If we know that percentage, it'll give us more power to maximize our profits. We're going to break it all down right here in this video, so make sure you stay tuned.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? Patrick here, and like I said, it's all about evolving. It's about tinkering. It's about getting the tools out, going outside sometimes, putting in the work. You know, it's Sunday. I could easily just be out at the beach drinking beers all day, having a good time, but instead I'm here refining my crap. I'm sharpening my tools. I'm cleaning up the tool shed and getting ready for another week in the market here. All right, so we're pulling up the chart on the NASDAQ here. What we're looking for is, number one, breakout or break down, a trend break, like we've talked about previously here on the channel, the 3-minute trend break. But in general, we're looking for a percentage today. I want to see how many times a 3-minute candle, if it breaks the upside or breaks the downside, how often does that 3-minute candle either break below its previous low or its previous high on the previous candle here. So we can basically just go through here and look for different setups and then try to figure out this first break of the day. We break from the lows here, where our stop would be below this previous candle. So the low on that previous candle was 2817. And you can see this candle ended up going all the way up here for about a 1.5% move, 843 level up to 13,000 there. So that was a beautiful setup, and we know that's the first one of the day, so we'll mark that as a winner. Talked about this 3-minute idea, the 3-minute chart, breaking the trends here. So again, we got this push up. Also, I do want to focus on, like, how many handles do we get from this break here? So from here, we went from the 40s all the way up to 40. So we got about 100 handle move there. Number one went 100 points on the NASDAQ there for the first one. That candle there opens and runs up from the 58s up to the 47s. So that's a winner. It never broke to the down below that low of that candle. So I'm trying to look like for actual, I think, setups that I would take here. This was a break to the downside, so breaking through that support there on that move to the downside here. So from the 38s, it kind of 38s, let's say you got short there off of that resistance. I mean, my stop basically would have been at that resistance area, and from the 40s down to the 40s, so like another 100 handle move there. This move right here looks pretty interesting, as we had this previous area of support, we got below it, and then we broke back above that area of resistance, turning that into support here. So we'll say from the 40s, as this broke through, let's say you got long here and you were basically, you know, had your stop there, the below of that last 3-minute candle. So from the let's just say from the 37s up to the 40s, we'll say 100 points on that before getting a pullback. All right, so we're cruising right now. We got about 13 trades that we've tested here. This is a good little kind of example, same idea. We broke through this resistance. This is the trade that I feel like I would 100% take. We broke through the resistance here. We got up to this resistance here. We had trouble, and then we finally broke above like this resistance here, and we ran up here. So let's just say we got long at that 985 area. You can see the low on this candle never broke below the low of this candle here, the 65 low. And I feel like it would have just broke through that resistance there either way, and it ran up almost about 100 points there. Before, like, look, every one of these candles never broke below the low of the previous candle until up here, and then finally broke through. So 100 handle move there. You can see we've tested 14 so far. We had a total of 3 losers, and I think a lot of that really kind of was like overall with a chop. You know, maybe I wouldn't have taken the trade anyway, but I'm trying to be as fair as possible, like just in case I would FOMO or things like that. And I'm not also like looking at the other indicators, you know, like VWAP and things like that. Like we're just strictly looking at the candlesticks just so I get an idea of if these 3-minute candles, like when they form and they make a move, do they end up breaking below previous 3-minute candles? So that gives me an idea. Like I want to know a percentage, like how many times when these 3-minute candles make a move to the upside or to the downside, do they end up retesting or breaking below the previous candle's low. So I remember this day pretty well. We had the gap down, we consolidated for a minute, and then we just sold off the rest of the day here. This breakdown here, again, the high on that candle was 1301. The previous candle was 1307 being the high. So we basically are risking off the top of that candle and our downside potential here. I mean, this thing went all the way down to the 882 level, so about 200 handle move there. And if you look, I mean, until pretty much here, until this spot right here, we never really broke back above those highs. But even then, like this thing really didn't break above those highs. So let's just say we got stopped out right there. I mean, that's 193 handles. So almost, I would just say like a minimum of 150 handles there on that move. From, let's say we got in here, we risk off the top of this candle. The high on that candle was the 05s. The high on this candle that we entered at was the 95s. And we still, I mean, this was, maybe it kind of pushed back there. So we got stopped out there. But still, I mean, that's 50. That's 50 handles to that downside there. So we got this kind of consolidation, a little choppiness. So we finally break back down the downside here. This is a pretty good little setup here. Stops a little high there, but in general, we can see that we never even got close to pushing back above the high on that 3-minute candle there. And then if we look here at these candles, they're kind of close. I mean, maybe we got stopped out there, but still, I mean, we got 40, 50 handles to the downside. And let's just say we kept it going throughout this move and stuck to the plan. That's about 130 handles. You can see, I mean, these candles literally never got back above the previous candle high and still sold, finally getting back above there. So, I mean, that's 100. You can see this setup here. Same idea. We're jumping in. This candle closes. It breaks the downside of the next one. We stop at the top of that previous candle. And if we look, we haven't pushed above any of these highs. No highs, no highs. And we pushed all the way down, I would say, to this level here before getting back above. So, I mean, there was a potential 100 handle move, but we'll just say 50 on that one. We got this resistance right here. We're breaking above that resistance. This is a pretty cool little setup here. We're breaking above that resistance there. We get that candle to close. So we enter on this next candle here. The high on that candle, or the low on that breakout candle was the 75s. The low on that next candle was 400. So we're pretty much, like, let's say we're in here off this breakout here, and we're looking for the next candle to break below the low of the previous candle. And that doesn't happen until basically right there. So that's 50. So here, another market open. The market gaps down. We get the break here. On this one, I think you're pretty clear this is a short opportunity after that big gap down. Let's say you short for this candle here, breaks below this candle, and let's just say you got short in this area here. Where would you have gotten stopped out? If you would have gotten stopped out on this, I mean, maybe like on that one there, still 20 points on that one. And then, I mean, there was potential going lower there. So the more and more that I look at these setups, these strategies, I think what you really need to do is you need to kind of let the trade work its way out. So if I'm entering here off of this candle to break to the downside, let's say I'm entering right here as we break down, you know, my stop on this trade really is kind of like the high of the candle that I entered on there. And, you know, this basically doesn't ever get back up there. But the thing is, like, where do I place my target for my, you know, to get out for maybe my stop, trailing stop, things like that? You know, I would say that I'm looking for a minimum of 50 handles or more So this is like kind of at this point, once we get this next move down, then maybe I put my stop loss or take profit here, maybe off this reversal like here. So that's still 50 handles. You know, I'm taking that one as a winner for sure. This one here looks pretty nice. You had this first 3-minute candle, some indecision. We had some support there. So this definitely would have been a long. I think I actually took this long the other day. So let's say we got long from that break to the upside here. Our stop's in the bottom of that candle, so we're long there. Our stop is down here, and you can see where we're at in terms of breaking through the low there. We got 76. So here's a beautiful drop at open here. You can see the market basically just dropping. Let's say I was late to get my entry and I got short for this next candle, and my stop's up there. How low do we go before breaking back above the highs? We get all the way down 84 before ever kind of breaking above the high of that last candle. And then we ended up going all the way down here to the 80s. All right, so as you can see here, we went from the month of May till the beginning of June, basically going through kind of conditions that I've traded through already and looking at a couple different things. The big focus here is what is the potential for these profits? Like, should I be holding much longer? And I think that's obviously a huge issue that I have. I've talked about this before, not holding my trades long enough to make sure that I'm getting the best risk to reward. Because remember, if we're entering profitable trades and we're taking profit too early and then the trade ends up moving another 20, 30 handles, you know, more profit on the table, leaving that profit there. Not that there's anything wrong with taking profit, but I want to make sure that I'm maximizing the profit off of my winning trades because I need those to offset my losing trades, right? Like, we're going to lose money. Like, there's going to be losing trades. There's going to be winning trades. The key here is to make sure that my winning trades are surpassing, you know, my losing trades. And what's interesting here is if you look at the ending here, we ended up total tested trades, I'd say 70 trades, which is, I would say, kind of where it's pretty realistic to make that many trades for sure in a month. I would say way more than that probably actually, but let's say we tested 70 trades. We had 60 winners and 10 losers. The losers were pretty like manageable losers as well. Like, I don't think there was any loser where I was like, wow, like that would have really hurt. You know, every loser was probably only 20 to 40 handles like maximum. So my losing trades would have been, you know, 20 to 40 handle maximum loss on those trades. So you're thinking, you know, like $200, $300 on a maximum loss there on those trades. And then you can see like the potential on these trades for the upside potential was 100 points, 60 points, 60 points, 100 points. I mean, literally, I would say a minimum for profit target off of this setup is a minimum of 20 to 40 handles, and then 50 is very doable. So my goal moving forward should be I shouldn't even be thinking about taking profit on these trades until we're up at least 20 handles. So 20 handle, like that's like my minimum profit target to really maximize this overall strategy here. Because I got to make sure that I'm offsetting any losses. But, you know, at 60 to 10, I don't have to have a huge profits. I don't need a major profits on every single trade. You know, locking in 50 handles every trade for profit and then maybe leaving one for a runner for a possible 100 handle move. I mean, that's not a bad way to look at it and a bad setup here. So total tested setups, I did 70, 60 winners, 10 losers. That gives us around an 85% win to loss ratio. I would say, you know, there's a potential for maybe more losers kind of mixed in there in general. So best case scenario, let's say you're still hitting 70%, you know, win-loss ratio. Even with this, you know, adding more losers on there, you're still very profitable if you just stick to the trade, stick to the plan here. And I'm excited. I'm excited to really kind of focus on this the upcoming week here and think about like every single trade that I'm getting into. Like, I need to make sure that number one, you know, my risk to reward is there, making sure I'm looking at the overall trend, things like that. But if I'm in a good trade, like I'm a winning trade, like I need to let that trade work out and get that profit. You know, 20 handles should be a minimum profit for me. That's a minimum target. And then after 20, we're looking for 50. And then after 50, if we have, if we have 3 contracts, you have 1 contract for that first target, the second target being 50, and then maybe having a third target at the 100 area there, maybe 60, 70, just to kind of be realistic here. But obviously, you know, we're going through looking at the trades in hindsight and things like that. So there's obviously a lot more testing to come, but this does give me like a pretty good you know, overall kind of mindset going into the trading week, thinking like to myself, like, okay, look, tested this 70 times, and out of that 70 times, 85% of the time, the trade works out. That's giving me way more confidence knowing that these setups do work. I just need to let the setups work out, and I need to make sure that my entries are kind of on target and kind of just, you know, slowly but surely look for those opportunities. Be patient, wait for the right setups. You know, a lot of those trades that I was looking at, maybe not every single one of those was like a really good setup in general, but still, we still got that profit target. We still got that risk to reward that we were looking for. So if we're really strict and we're looking for only like the best setups and we're looking for really good setups, then that win ratio can be even better. Like we can get to a 95% win ratio if we're really dialed in once we have all the indicators and we're in that market and we're trading, you know, actually trading it. So I'm interested to see how this next week goes. I'm definitely going to be a lot more mindful and be thinking a lot more about like what's that percentage, you know, that 85%. Like that's a pretty good win ratio there. Like I should always be thinking like, hey, look, Patrick, like we know, like we've tested this. We know that these 3-minute candles, as long as we don't push back above that previous high on that last candle, we're cruising, we're choosing, and we're cruising, we're choosing, we're cruising. So it's just constantly going through it. You know, I've spent my last couple hours here going through the chart, looking for the setups, doing the win ratio here, giving you guys the idea, giving you the feedback. At the end of the day, number one, you know, we're still looking for the best risk to reward, and we're looking for setups. But now we know, like, if those 3-minute candles don't break above the last previous high, or they don't break above previous or lower, you know, those are kind of giving us an idea of where we should be looking to have our targets and looking to ride the momentum if the momentum is there. So there it is. If you guys haven't already liked the video and hit the subscribe button, you know what to do. I'll talk to you guys later on.